I'm Carla Simmons, 24, running a freelance marketing business in Portland, Oregon, that I built from nothing 3 years ago. I walked away from a family that always saw me as second best, armed with just my grit and a high school diploma. But last Christmas, they begged me to come home. The irony hit hard. It was at our family's Christmas party in Scottsdale, Arizona, when everything shattered. I was passing plates of ham and mashed potatoes, forcing smiles, when I spotted a bank statement on the kitchen counter. My heart sank. 5 years of savings, every dollar I'd scraped together from summer jobs. Every cent my grandparents left me was gone, funneled to my younger sister's private school for her pre-med dreams. I couldn't breathe. I confronted my parents, my voice shaking. "You took everything I worked for," I shouted. "You will pay." My mother's hand cracked across my face, her voice ice cold. "That's your responsibility as family." My father just stared, silent. The room spun. I grabbed my coat, walked out, the door slamming behind me. Their betrayal burned, but what happened days later would shake their world to its core. If family favoritism cuts deep, drop your story in the comments and hit that subscribe button for more raw, real tales like mine. You won't believe how this unfolds. Growing up in our 2-story house in Scottsdale, Arizona, the favoritism was subtle but constant. My father, Carla Simmons, worked as a small business owner near Phoenix, handling local retail supplies, while my mother, Carla Simmons, tutored kids after school hours. From the start, my younger sister, Carla Simmons, got the better end of everything. Her room was larger, with fresh paint and new curtains I never had. When she joined piano lessons, they praised her every recital, clapping louder than for my school projects. I remember sitting in the audience at her first performance, forcing a smile while they barely noticed my marketing club award the same week. I found my escape in marketing early on, at 7. Grandpa Vernon gave me his old laptop, and I spent afternoons designing fake ads for fun, learning software basics from online tutorials. "You've got a knack for this, Carla," he'd say during visits, his eyes lighting up in a way my parents never did. Grandma Opal would nod, adding stories about her own creative hobbies. They started helping me save from summer jobs, tucking away cash for my future. By 12, I had my first gig handing out flyers for a neighbor's garage sale, earning pocket money that went straight into savings. But the imbalance showed in little ways. Gloria's track meets got family outings with ice cream afterward, while my debate wins earned a quick, good job over dinner. When she needed new sneakers for sports, they bought them immediately. But my art supplies waited until payday. I swallowed it, thinking if I worked harder, they'd see me equally. Grandpa Vernon noticed, pulling me aside once. "Don't let it dim your spark." He and Grandma Opal were my anchors, always encouraging my ideas without comparison. Signs of my parents' financial strain appeared gradually. Late-night arguments about credit card bills echoed through the halls. They'd skip family vacations, citing tight budgets. Yet Gloria's dance classes continued without cuts. Once, I overheard Randall mentioning a second home loan for kitchen renovations, his voice tense. Phyllis picked up extra tutoring sessions, complaining about exhaustion but never cutting back on Gloria's extras. I didn't connect it then, focused on building my savings. 5 years of effort, from babysitting to part-time retail, aiming for college tuition. Gloria excelled effortlessly, maintaining top grades and joining clubs that boosted her resume. Parents beamed at her report cards, framing them on the wall, while mine gathered dust in drawers. When she decided on pre-med track in middle school, they enrolled her in advanced science camps, costing hundreds each summer. I pitched in around the house, helping with chores to ease their load, but it never shifted the dynamic. Grandpa Vernon warned me quietly, "Money talks, but family should listen." His words stuck as I watched Gloria get the spotlight, her path always prioritized. By high school, the gap widened. Gloria's SAT prep courses came first, while I studied alone at the library. Parents justified it. "She's aiming high. Carla." I pushed through, founding a marketing club and winning local contests, but celebrations were muted. Savings grew steadily, thanks to Grandpa and Grandma's guidance, reaching around $50,000 by junior year. Little did I know how fragile that security was amid my parents' growing debts. Do you think parents realize how favoritism shapes their kids long term? Senior year should have been my turning point. I had just turned 17, wrapping up high school in Scottsdale with a solid GPA and acceptance letters rolling in. One from a state university near Phoenix stood out, with a strong marketing program that matched my dreams of building campaigns for big brands. I planned to use my savings to cover tuition gaps, excited about classes in digital advertising and consumer behavior. But everything shifted when Grandpa Vernon passed away that spring. He collapsed during a routine checkup, gone before we could say goodbye. I spent days numb, remembering his encouragement during my club presentations. Grandma Opal held on for 6 months, her health declining rapidly after. She died quietly in her sleep, leaving me devastated. They had been my biggest cheerleaders, always pushing me to chase what I loved without the constant comparisons at home. Their will specified the savings around $50,000 from my jobs, and their contributions went directly to me. It sat in a joint account my parents managed, but they promised to keep it untouched. "It's for your future," my father said during the reading, his voice steady. I trusted them, focusing on graduation prep and club activities. Meanwhile, Gloria's path accelerated. At 13, she declared her interest in medicine, and my parents jumped on it. They enrolled her in a private school outside Phoenix with a pre-med focus, complete with advanced labs and college-level courses. The tuition hit thousands per semester, but they brushed off concerns. I overheard whispers in the kitchen, late-night talks about shifting funds. My mother mentioning practical adjustments while glancing at financial statements. Suspicion grew when Gloria showed up with a new laptop for her classes, sleek and expensive. "For research," she said casually, as if it was nothing. My parents nodded approvingly, but I caught my father skipping his usual coffee run. Then came the apartment rental near her school for easier commutes, another chunk they covered without discussion. I asked once, and my mother waved it off. "She's building her foundation." The account statements arrived monthly, but I didn't check them closely at first. Too busy with finals. One evening, while helping with dinner, I spotted a transfer receipt on the counter funds moved to cover Gloria's enrollment fees. My stomach knotted. They had dipped into my savings without a word, justifying it as family needs. "Medicine requires investment," my father explained later in hushed tones, as if that made it right. Gloria thrived in her new setup, posting about lab experiments and study groups. My parents beamed during family calls, detailing her progress while my university plans got passing mentions. I confronted them quietly once, but they deflected. "We'll sort it out." The secrecy ate at me, building tension through summer. By fall, as I packed for community college instead of my dream program, the full extent hit. They had siphoned most of the $50,000, leaving scraps for me. Gloria's private education came first, her saving lives dream outweighing my goals. I pushed forward, but the betrayal simmered, waiting for the Christmas confrontation that would explode everything. If you were in my place, Would you forgive them, or would you let the anger build? The Christmas party started like any other. Family gathered in our Scottsdale living room. Holiday lights flickering over wrapped gifts and a spread of turkey with sides. I helped set the table, chatting with relatives about my senior year plans, when I noticed a folder on the kitchen island. Curiosity pulled me closer. Inside were bank records showing transfers from my savings account to cover Gloria's private school tuition. My hand shook. $50,000 gone, redirected to her pre-med program without a word to me. I stormed into the room where my parents mingled with guests. "You used my money for Gloria?" My voice cut through the chatter. Randall turned pale. Phyllis froze with a glass in hand. Gloria, perched on the couch in her new dress, looked confused. Relatives shifted uncomfortably. Conversations dying. "It's for the family," my father muttered, trying to pull me aside. But I stood firm. That was my future, my 5 years of work. The argument escalated fast. Phyllis stepped forward, her face red. "We're investing in something important. Medicine saves lives." Gloria chimed in, rolling her eyes. "Your marketing stuff can wait. You don't need fancy schools for that." Her dismissiveness ignited me. "You will pay," I shouted, pointing at them all. Phyllis's hand flew up, slapping my cheek hard enough to sting. "That's your responsibility as the older sister," she snapped, her voice low but sharp. The room went silent, guests staring. My father avoided my gaze, mumbling about discussing later. Gloria smirked slightly, as if I'd overreacted. The betrayal hit like a wave, years of favoritism boiling over. I grabbed my keys, ignoring pleas to stay. "I'm done," I said, walking out into the cool Arizona night. The door closed behind me, ending the party for good. That night, I packed essentials and crashed at a friend's place. The slap echoed in my mind. But so did the freedom. Community college registration opened soon, and I signed up for classes near Scottsdale the next week. Tuition was affordable, but books and fees ate into what little remained in my account. I landed a part-time job at a local coffee shop, steaming lattes for minimum wage during afternoons. Shifts left me exhausted, but I pushed through, attending lectures on basic marketing principles in the mornings. Gloria's life continued uninterrupted. She posted about her new school dorm, complete with study groups and lab access. My parents called once, but I ignored them, focusing on survival. Rent for a tiny apartment shared with strangers came next. Utilities and groceries stretching every dollar. I cut extras, no movies, no eating out, just ramen and library books for entertainment. The transition hit hard. Mornings blurred into classes, evenings into work, nights into homework under dim lights. But determination grew. I networked at school events, landing small gigs, designing flyers for campus clubs. Each paycheck rebuilt what they'd taken, piece by piece. No more waiting for approval, I was forging my own path. 2 years of community college passed in a blur. I balanced morning classes on marketing fundamentals with afternoon shifts at the coffee shop in Scottsdale, steaming lattes until my hands ached. The routine was grueling: lectures, work, late-night assignments under a flickering lamp. Rent for my shared apartment ate most of my paycheck, leaving me with instant noodles and borrowed textbooks. But every completed project, every paycheck, felt like defiance against the betrayal. At 19, I needed more than survival. Portland, Oregon, called with its vibrant creative scene and freelance opportunities. I saved enough for a one-way bus ticket and a deposit on a cramped studio in a bustling arts district. The move was daunting: new city, no connections, just a laptop and ambition. My first weeks were lean, scraping by on savings while pitching to small businesses. A local bookstore hired me to design promotional posters. My first real gig. It paid barely enough for groceries, but it was a start. I met Nadine Powell at a marketing meetup in a cozy Portland cafe. She was my age, sharp, with a knack for branding and a past of her own cut off by family for choosing art over their expectations. "Blood doesn't make family," she said over coffee, her words grounding me. We bonded over late-night brainstorming sessions, swapping tips on client pitches. Nadine became my anchor, pushing me to keep going when doubt crept in. Freelance work grew slowly. I took every job flyers for food trucks, social media for boutiques honing skills on free software. Nights blurred into logo revisions, my eyes burning from screen glare. Gloria's social media posts popped up occasionally, flaunting trips to San Diego or new tech for her studies. Each post stung, but I channeled the hurt into work, building a portfolio that spoke louder than their dismissal. Money was tight. I skipped concerts, cooked rice in bulk, walked to save bus fare. But small wins added up. A cafe owner praised my ad campaign, doubling their weekend crowd. Another client referred me to a startup needing branding. By the second year, I was juggling multiple contracts, earning enough to cover rent without panic. Nadine and I celebrated over cheap pizza, laughing about our ramen days. Community college ended with a degree in hand, but Portland was my real classroom. I learned to negotiate rates, manage deadlines, and pitch ideas with confidence. Professors had taught me theory, clients taught me hustle. Nadine introduced me to a local designers group, where I swapped strategies with others who'd built careers from scratch. Their stories echoed my no silver spoons, just grit. The pain of my parents' actions lingered. I'd see their missed calls, ignored them, and focused on my grind. Gloria's posts about her pre-med life new dorms, study abroad highlighted the gap. They'd bankrolled her dreams while I rebuilt mine from nothing, but Portland gave me clarity. I wasn't just surviving, I was creating something they couldn't touch. By 24, my hustle had paid off. Portland's creative scene embraced my freelance marketing work, and I launched a small agency, securing steady clients like local cafes and tech startups. Contracts rolled in, pushing my income to $3,000 a month. I bought a modest condo in Fremont, a one-bedroom with a view of the city's green hills. My desk overflowed with sketches for branding projects, each one proof I'd built something from nothing. Then came the call. My father's voice crackled through the phone, weary and hesitant. They were struggling. Debts from Gloria's private school and medical program had piled up, and she wasn't helping. He asked me to come home for Christmas, saying they missed me. The words felt hollow, a faint echo of guilt after years of silence. I booked a flight to Arizona, not for them, but to face the past on my terms. I chose a downtown Scottsdale hotel over their house, needing distance from old wounds. Walking into their home felt like stepping into a faded memory. The paint peeled in corners, the Christmas tree sparse with cheap ornaments. My mother's smile was strained, her eyes tired from extra tutoring shifts. My father's handshake was weak, his usual confidence gone. Over dinner, dry ham and instant potatoes, they talked about Gloria's medical school start, praising her absence as if she were saving lives already. My stomach churned at their unchanged favoritism. The conversation turned tense when I asked about their finances. They admitted taking out home equity loans to fund Gloria's tuition, now drowning in interest they couldn't pay. "We thought she'd help," my mother said, voice breaking. I leaned back, arms crossed. "You thought wrong. She's living her dream while you're sinking." My father tried to deflect, mentioning their pride in her. I cut him off. "What about me? I built this life without your help." Gloria's social media flashed in my mind photos from a recent Hawaii trip, captioned with carefree emojis. Meanwhile, my parents faced foreclosure notices. Their desperation surfaced, asking if I could pitch in. "You took my savings," I said. Voice steady but cold. "I rebuilt from scratch. That's on you now." My mother's eyes welled up, but I felt no pity. They'd chosen Gloria over me. Again and again, the argument grew heated. My father raised his voice, insisting family sticks together. "Where was that family when you emptied my account?" I shot back. Phyllis pleaded. "We made mistakes, but we're struggling." I stood, grabbing my coat. "You made your choices. I'm not your fix." The door shut behind me, their voices fading as I walked to my hotel. Back in my room, I stared at the city lights, feeling lighter. I'd faced them, drawn my line, and owed them nothing. Back in Portland, I cut all ties. I blocked my parents' numbers and Gloria's, erasing their voicemails without listening. My condo became my sanctuary, filled with client files and mood boards for new campaigns. Each project a logo for a brewery. A website for a yoga studio felt like a brick in the life I'd built. Nadine stopped by often, her laughter filling the space as we planned pitches over takeout. I was done carrying their weight. Weeks later, Nadine forwarded a local news article from Scottsdale. My parents had lost their home. The bank foreclosed after unpaid loans piled up. Loans they took for Gloria's medical school and private education. I pictured them opening their door to a sheriff's notice, their screams echoing through the neighborhood as reality hit. They'd poured everything into Gloria, expecting her to bail them out, but she hadn't. Neighbors, once friendly, now avoided them, whispering about their financial ruin. They moved to a cramped apartment on the edge of Phoenix, their reputation shattered in our tight-knit community. Gloria's world crumbled too. At 21, she'd started medical school, but the pressure broke her. Social media posts stopped no more trips or shiny gadgets. Nadine heard through mutual contacts that Gloria's student loans, nearly $200,000, overwhelmed her. She flunked a key exam, lost her residency spot due to burnout, and scrambled for low-paying clinic jobs. She called my parents for help, but their empty pockets offered nothing. Their golden child had fallen, and they had no one left to turn to. I didn't gloat. Their collapse wasn't my victory, it was their consequence. I kept grinding, landing a contract with a Portland tech firm for a 6-month campaign. The $5,000 advance covered my bills and let me upgrade my equipment. Nadine and I celebrated at a dive bar, toasting to chosen family. My days were full meetings with clients, late-night edits, jogs along the Willamette River. I joined a local book club, connecting with others who valued my ideas, not my sacrifices. The pain of their betrayal lingered, but it no longer defined me. I'd spent years seeking approval from people who saw me as secondary. Now, I saw clearly my worth wasn't tied to their choices. Their favoritism cost them everything: home, community, stability while I thrived. Gloria's failure wasn't my doing, but it proved their system was flawed. They'd banked on her, ignoring me, and paid the price. This wasn't about revenge. It was about resilience. I learned that family doesn't owe you fairness, but you owe yourself the strength to walk away. Building my life, my agency, my home, my circle was my answer to their neglect. If you've ever faced betrayal and rebuilt stronger, share your story below. Your journey might lift someone else.